Now, on the topic of Green Biz conferences, you have the annual Green Biz Forum just around the corner in February, one in New York and one in San Francisco. Before we go, can you tell us a couple of the big thematic challenges and opportunities that you see coming up at that conference?
Well, the conference is again about context. Every year we publish at the beginning of the year a State of Green Business report.
Right.
So this will be our 6th annual, to really put into context all the stuff that's going on out there. And that's a lot of stuff, and most of it's under the radar of the public. Is it moving the needle? You know, and where are the trends going? And so we bring that report to life at this event. And so we're looking at natural capital, like what happens in a world where companies are starting to value and build into their financial statements the value of the nature that they use every day, the fresh water and the fresh air, and if you're in agriculture, you know, crop pollination and flood and soil erosion or anti-soil erosion and things like that. And what happens if companies had to pay for that or pay for the impacts? A number of companies are starting to do that. We're looking at risk. We don't, you know, sustainability, you know, is starting to, big companies are starting to get asked the questions, how do we think about a world where a flood in Thailand will just drive markets worldwide for a year, not to mention droughts in the US, or let alone a superstorm up the eastern seaboard, and huge droughts in Eastern Europe or China, and you know, hurricanes and floods and everything else. How do you think about that as a company, and what are the risks that you need to mitigate? Not just the risks of making sure you're in operation, business continuity, but the risk, the right to operate. If you're a big water user in a water-stressed area and you're a big multinational company, even though you may be using it way more efficiently than the locals, you may get tossed out. Say you're the problem, you're the source of the problem. Get out, and companies have been tossed out of town.
Right. So it's really about the way the rubber meets the road in with regard to having to. What if I actually had to pay for the impacts I'm having that I didn't have, that I could turn away in the past? And what about the consequences, the risks that come to pass? How am I going to mitigate them? Because some of those are going to happen, and some of them have happened already.
Yeah, I mean, in a way, this is mapping sustainability to the things that it's not a nice to do. It's not just about improving the bottom line, but it maps to the things that companies care most about: the right to operate and the business continuity. The heart of business. They're managing risks all the time, but I think they don't really see sustainability as a risk factor. So we're going to be talking a lot about that. We're going to have on stage the head of the largest barge company down the Mississippi, who's going to talk about his company watching over 14 months where the Mississippi went from record flooding to record drought. And what is his responsibility as a company to take care of the river, let alone to survive in a world where that's an issue.